Welcome to UFO Headline News with me, Heidi Hollis. Today is Friday, December 15th, 2017. Blasting off with some UFO reports. This first one comes from California and it occurred June 15th of 2017. In brief, the witness states, "While driving home at night, I observed this huge flying object traveling towards the freeway. Drivers in front of me and to the side were slowing down to watch it. A few minutes later, its lights went out and it seemed to disappear." I was driving home at night on I-80 in Vallejo. I couldn't help but notice a huge aircraft flying slowly to the right of the freeway. It seemed to be coming towards the freeway. The blinking lights caught my attention at first, and I noticed how large it was and that it was flying very low and very slow. At first I thought it was an airplane in trouble and that it was going to try to land on the freeway. But as I watched, I noticed that it was much, much larger than an airplane, and although I couldn't make out its shape, I could see an outline. It had blinking lights that seemed to be coming towards the freeway. To my knowledge, an airplane cannot travel at such slow speed and that low to the ground without crashing. There was a lot of traffic on the freeway, and I could tell others were watching this as well. Drivers were slamming on their brakes to watch. It was almost a panic situation, and I thought there was going to be an accident, so I decided to get off the freeway. But before I could safely pull over, it changed direction and was moving away from me. Now it was traveling east towards the hills. I kept watching it as much as I could, as was everyone on the freeway. Its lights were blinking randomly in no particular order, and on one side of the aircraft, or UFO, was tipped towards the ground. I could see the outline, but I couldn't make out the shape. It was just huge and intimidating. It looked as if it was searching for something or trying to land. Moving slowly, all of a sudden the lights blinked off, and whatever it was just disappeared, as in vanished. I did see the lights go out, and thought it was strange that something that large would and could just shut down in midair. So I pulled off the freeway and I tried to locate something to indicate that whatever it was had moved on or landed, but nothing was visible. I found nothing, no lights, no trace that it had been there. I was somehow glad I didn't see a large UFO on the ground. I have no idea what I would do if it was there. I was confused and a little afraid, so I drove home. It seems like it was not trying to hide. Nothing that big could hide. However, if we do have visitors, I would like to know for sure what they are and what they are planning to do. I felt uncomfortable after this experience. I do hope others will find the time to report what they saw and what they think of this situation. We are not alone. The next UFO sighting occurred in Austin, Texas. This happened June 1st, 2017. In brief, they state, "I woke up from a nap. Felt inclined to shoot video of sun reflecting off Lake Tarvis." They go on to explain more. "I woke suddenly from a nap, strangely still groggy. I felt I need to take a video shot of the sun and its reflection over the Lake Travis. Being a retired professional videographer, I normally would have planned out a hobby shoot better. I do videos for fun and post on my Facebook page. But I really felt impelled to do this shot before I was not fully awake from my nap, still groggy. I don't think this was related to artifact and lens flare. I will provide raw footage attached. Curiously, you will see what appears to be a military aircraft nearby form the altitude, if I am correct in my observation. It seemed way too high for commercial clearance flight altitude. At 6 to 7 seconds in, upper left, just above the sun, you will see a metallic object reflecting off the sun. Pass in front of the sun's brightness. Its reflection then is overcome by the sun's brightness until the object reappears below to the lower left and then takes a 30 to 35 degree jog to the right. For those who are not professional videographers like myself, a bug in front of your lens is black and cannot reflect off the sun like a metallic object. Birds, bugs flying in and out of your lens will be black. Space rocks and satellites do not maneuver like that. It's against the laws of physics. Their trajectories are set in motion and can't deviate. The military does navigate their satellites. They can change direction. Never in the way you see in the video. Could be coincidence, but the altitude of the aircraft in the upper right means that it is military. Notice that you can see contrail, but not reflection off its airframe, because it's so small compared to the UFO. Have fun, everyone. I have 15 years professional experience as a videographer and photographer, 10 years of which was with Cox Communications. I know what artifact is. If you want to be a denier, you need to come up with something good, and I will listen. You will see a lens flare, which is obvious and normal in a lens as one pans up into the sun. A lens flare allows the direction of your pan movement. The UFO comes down from above in opposite direction of the lens movement and lens flare up. Also, the speed of the object down is faster than the lens flare up. Keep your cursor on pause button to click to stop and review. I have additional pan movements in the same take with lens flare moving from the pan up, but no object coming down in frame like this. Also, object continues its variable trajectory down after pan and lens movement stops. The next UFO sighting occurred in Morris, Minnesota, June 15, 2017. Object traveled in south-southwest, north-northeast direction, eventually faded from view. No ISS flybys, no sound, but object was far away. The witness goes on to state, observed moving object traveling south-southwest to north-northeast direction at steady speed, faster than jet airliner, similar in speed to ISS. Traveled in straight line path, approximately 20 to 25 degrees above horizon. Observed object for approximately 20 to 30 seconds. Object appeared to be similar to ISS or blinking lights. Object traveled approximately twice the speed of commercial jet airliner. Object was possible satellite, but Internet search of satellites in area showed none. Internet search of ISS flybys showed none for this date. In sum, light traveled in straight path, approximately south-southwest to north-northeast, approximately 25 degrees above horizon, at approximately 22:38 hours Central Standard Time. Woo, precise. All right, our next UFO sighting. This, in brief, is a UFO sighting in Stratford, Ontario that occurred June 15th, 2017. It's briefly stated, a black box-like object that was wobbling and slowly rising. In more detail, the witness states, I was on a path just off Maple Avenue, walking to lunch with 3 friends when out of my peripheral vision, I noticed a black box. I brought it to the attention of my friends, and They were seeing it as well. At the point we first noticed it, it was just hovering. But then, as we sat there to stare at it, it started wobbling and slowly ascending. I kept a steady rate of speed until it got too small to see. I felt it wanted to be seen in the area the object was in, right in between two schools, and it was hovering over the lake. Whew. Sometimes reading these things with chopped up English is a challenge, let me tell you. Um, Next up, bounding into some Bigfoot boundaries. This is an interesting story. Men with axes and guns attack Bigfoot. Wayne Wilson didn't know he had Bigfoot neighbors until 3 years ago. That was when people in his neck of the North Carolina woods began selling timber to logging companies. That was when he discovered two Bigfoot structures on his property, and soon realized some of the Bigfoot had sought refuge on his land. Wayne, a big man with a big heart, welcomed the Bigfoot and eventually won their trust. So much so that when a Bigfoot baby was born on Christmas Eve last year, the parents let him see their new baby girl. With that nativity image in mind, it's easy to imagine how horrified Wayne was when he saw men with axes chopping down Bigfoot structures across the road from his home. He says, "We had just gotten home about 8 a.m. on February 24th, 2017, after taking my little girl to school," Wayne explains, "when this white, unmarked truck drives onto the land across the road. It looked like a truck to haul NASCARs. Then these four guys got out. They looked like tree planters, but there weren't any trees inside their truck." And this is the caption under the picture. These are frames from a cell phone video taken by Wayne while watching men destroy Bigfoot dens and structures across the road from his home. The white dots in the center photo appeared to be on the tree branches, but Wayne says they proved to be white aliens who suddenly appeared to protect the Bigfoot from the axe-wielding, gun-tootin' humans. He goes on. Instead, they laid out bags like they were planning to put something really big in them. One guy had ties and everything. Then they took off with their axes across the field and along the tree line. Now, I know where all the Bigfoot sleeping dens are located, and these men headed right to them and began chopping, chopping, and chopping. I truly believe they were after a Bigfoot body or body parts. As they were whacking those things down, all of a sudden, up over a hill, these little white aliens show up. They moved as fast as a Bigfoot, faster than any human. My first take was that the men with the axes were a distraction while the white things came in to take out the Bigfoot. The woods were silent for 2 or 3 days after that, and some of the Bigfoot were missing, including the baby, the mama, and the dad I'm always talking about. I didn't know what had happened to them and thought they may have gotten killed. Before Wayne's report continues, it should be explained that over the past 3 years, he's learned to communicate telepathically with the Bigfoot. He also says they will appear to him in vivid dreams and show him things and explain things to him. That happened a few nights after the tree planters, quote, tore up the Bigfoot dens. He goes on, "The Bigfoot showed me in detail what happened," Wayne says. "They showed a man going into one of their dens and pulling out a gun. And that's when the white things showed up. I said, okay, but why were those little white aliens trying to attack you?" Basically, they said the white aliens weren't trying to attack us. They were there to protect us. They were there to make sure that we didn't.
The holidays are almost here, but you can still treat yourself at Guitar Center with deals like a Casio CDP 135 digital piano, just $299, or a Cordoba Protege ukulele, just $59. Plus weekly doorbuster deals, special financing, the newest and hottest guitars, drums, keys, and more. And exclusive gear you can't get anywhere else. So hurry in and find your sound at Guitar Center.
Do something we didn't want to do. They were there to get us out of harm's way before a Bigfoot massacre happened. Everything I know about the Bigfoot and the aliens is that they're all tied together, Wayne continues. Just think what would happen on the news if the Bigfoot killed some humans. There probably would have been retaliation. The white aliens wanted to prevent all of that. The Bigfoot are people, and you don't go into their homes with a gun without them retaliating. If somebody walked into my house with a gun, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to defend myself and my family. The editor states, when I asked Wayne what he thought the motivation of the, quote, tree planters was, he didn't jump to a conspiracy theory, though he didn't rule them out. He acknowledged that Bigfoot trophy hunters or some aspect of the government might have been the culprits, but he also had a simple answer. For a week before the Axemen arrived, Wayne says, the Bigfoot and the coyotes were hooting and hollering. The coyotes were really loud. I believe someone called in a complaint and wanted to get rid of the nuisance. Possibly they killed the coyotes because I haven't heard them since then. The Bigfoot are probably keeping them quiet too. They've got some kind of relationship with them. Trust me. The next story, digging more into the Bigfoot. Clear video of Bigfoot stick structures. Leanne Carnegie posted a YouTube video February 22nd of 2017 of Bigfoot Sasquatch stick structures she found in Ontario, Canada. Her 7-minute 43-second video is sharp and clear, as her voiceover commentary is. She begins by showing a large stick structure and then ventures inside to reveal the walls, floor, and ceiling. At the 5-minute 43-second minute mark, she shows sequential updates of the evolution of a second structure between March and December 2016. One update from May and one from December are shown in the link. Just click it to see the entire video. You guys gotta check it out. Pretty cool. Next story. Still bounding into the Bigfoot boundaries. Bigfoot may have made a good impression with baby Bigfoot. David Ellis is a founding partner of the Olympic Project in Washington State. It is an association of researchers, investigators, biologists, and trackers committed to documenting the existence of Sasquatch. David's interest in the elusive creature started when he was a young boy and heard his grandfather's account of seeing a 5-foot-tall monkey in the woods when he was mowing a hayfield on his farm in Battleground, Washington. Then, when I was 11 years old, David says, I had my own experience. Not a visual, but something that was able to shake a 20-foot-tall alder tree, rip limbs off at about 12 to 15 feet off the ground, and then cut loose with a very long, about 12-second vocalization that I later described to my parents as the sound of an elephant trumpeting and a lion roaring at the same time. As a young man, David came upon his first unusual footprint near a lake in the Cascade Mountains east of Mount Rainier. It so intrigued him that he went back to the lake about 8 weeks in a row until the path was closed for the winter. Since then, he has made castings of more than 100 unique footprints from that area. Moving on to some paranormal points, some short paranormal stories here. This story is entitled Haunted Painting. This is the true story of the haunted painting, the most bizarre and frightening tale that the author has heard in quite a while. In February 2000, the haunted painting was put up for sale on eBay and an auction begun. Today, many wonder if it was a true story or a marketing ploy for this item. And it just had a number for its name on eBay, but it quickly became known on the internet as the haunted eBay painting. The item description in itself was bizarre. It read, "When we received this painting, we thought it was really good art. A, quote, picker had found it abandoned behind an old brewery. At the time we wondered a little why a seemingly perfectly fine painting would be discarded like that. Today we don't. One morning our 4.5-year-old daughter claimed that the children in the picture were fighting and coming into the room during the night. Now, I don't believe in UFOs or elves being alive, but my husband was alarmed. To my amusement, he set up a motion-triggered camera for the night. After 3 nights, there were pictures. The last 2 pictures shown are from that stakeout. After seeing the boy seemingly exiting the picture under threat, we decided the painting has to go. Please judge for yourself. Before you do, please read the following warning and disclaimer. Warning: do not bid on this painting if you are susceptible to stress-related disease, faint of heart, or are unfamiliar with supernatural events. By bidding on this painting, you agree to release the owners of all liability in relation to the sale or any events happening after the sale that might be contributed to this painting. This painting may or may not possess supernatural powers that could impact or change your life. However, by bidding, you agree to exclusively bid on the value of the artwork, with disregard to the last 2 photos featured in this auction, and hold the owners harmless in regard to them and their impact, expressed or implied. Now that we got this out of the way, one question to you, eBayers. We want our house to be blessed after the painting is gone. Does anybody know who is qualified to do that?" Shortly thereafter, in response to questions about the piece, the sellers posted the following addition. The size of the painting is 24 by 36 inches, so it is rather large. As I have had several questions here, the following answers. There was no odor left behind in the room. There were no voices or the smell of gunpowder. No footprints or strange fluids on the wall. To deter questions in this direction, there are no ghosts in this world. No supernatural powers. This is just a painting. And most of these things have an explanation. In this case, probably a fluke of light effect. I encourage you to bid on the artwork and consider the last 2 photographs as pure entertainment. And please do not take them into consideration when bidding. As we think it is a good idea to bless any house, we still welcome input into that procedure. After this description, there were 8 shots of the item. 2 were overview shots, slightly left of the center on the canvas. We see a boy of perhaps 5 or 6 with sloping shoulders and a heavy brow scowling at us. He is dressed as we would expect any early or mid-20th century middle or lower class young boy to be dressed. A blue t-shirt, greenish shorts, short socks, and shoes. His dirty blonde hair is cropped into a very short crew cut on his blocky head. His expression, his small, deep-set eyes, and his slightly downturned frown are the look of an alien, disdainful curiosity. You are not supposed to be here. haunted painting to his right, propped against a window molding, or perhaps freestanding, it's difficult to tell, is a life-sized wooden doll girl. She's wearing a faded blue dress. She only has empty holes for eyes, but her mouth is easy to see and closed. In her hands, she's clutching what at first looks like some sort of tall bottle or canister tied with a string, but on closer inspection appears to be a tall battery, complete with little lightning bolt with mad dangling clips. The two are standing on a street curb in front of a full-length window. The building behind them is completely dark inside, but reaching forth from the darkness we can distinguish at least a dozen tiny hands. Some of the hands are lower, some higher, but none are higher than the two central figures. If these are indeed children's hands, some of the children are on the floor. It is not clear whether the hands are reaching for the window pane, the light, or the boy, or the doll. 4 more shots were details of the boy, his face, the doll's face, and the doll's battery, or whatever it is. But the last 2 shots were the ones that were supposedly made by the motion-activated still camera. They are clearly different from the daytime shots, because the flash was centered on the boy, being the central figure on the canvas. And because it's rather large painting, the doll, who was, as I said, towards the left edge of the painting, is obscured by shadow. But the photographs clearly show that now her mouth is open. Ooh. After the auction began, viewers started to report strange happenings whenever they tried to view the page. All of them, spectral voices, hot flashes, blackouts, and, quote, mind control experiences, are typical of mass hysteria. One man, a Native American spiritualist in Mississippi, claimed that the painting had evil in it, and after having viewed it on his web browser, he had to cleanse his house by burning white sage. More than 13,000 people bid on the work. The buyer, who remains anonymous, his eBay login was Iona7, but bought the work for $1,025. Claims that although the story of the arguing spirits is compelling as a curiosity, he was more interested in the composition of the work and was buying to sell. He says that it seems to have been produced sometime between 1965 and 1975 and is entitled The Hands Resist Him. It is signed, but the current owner has not released the artist's name. He has never experienced any unusual effects and calls the work a good example of surrealism from that period. I think it's pretty clear that everything which happened to people who viewed the painting through the web was the result of the power of suggestion. On the other hand, the author remains skeptical but agnostic as to whether the painting itself is animate. If it were a hoax, the trickster employed the most cunningly inconsistent assertions, destroying the reader's ability to restore any suspended disbelief. Even if it isn't legit, there would have to be something seriously wrong with someone to have painted the thing in the first place. I mean, they would have been messed up in the head quite badly. If you saw the work, you'd understand. It's just spooky. It's not at all surprising that it provokes such extreme reactions. The new owner of the painting claims he found an inscription on the back saying the title of the picture was The Hands Resist Him. He also found a signature but refuses to say who the painter was, and says he received thousands of emails from people claiming they were repulsed, made physically ill, and suffered from blackouts in regards to this picture. An exorcist-type voice along with a blast of hot air like standing in front of an oven door, 2 friends crying after this experience and praying until a minute had passed and everything went back to normal, as another witness said. Wow! Absolutely amazing. Well, thank you for listening to UFO Headline News with me, Heidi Hollis. Once again, be sure to check out UFOHeadlineNews.com every single day. And also tune into my other show, The Outlanders, Fridays 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, and catch my paranormal comic, The Outlanders. Direct links can be found on HeidiHollis.com or just head on over to InceptionRadioNetwork.com. Remember always to keep an open mind so you can stay informed and inspired.
Right now, save 50 to 70% off at Banana Republic factory stores and online. And 60% off absolutely everything at Gap factory stores. Save even more with 40% off clearance at Gap factory stores. And at Banana Republic factory, sweaters start at $19.99 and scarves start at $9.99. Hurry! Search our store locator for your nearest Gap factory and Banana Republic factory store or shop us online.